Well, thanks for logging on to WANE.com for another edition of Inside the Zone. Of course, as always, we've got our wealth of knowledge, of Komets knowledge. Blake Sebring from the News-Sentinel joining us, the first Inside the Zone post-Christmas, pre-New Year's, and it comes with some big news. I think all those Komets fans who went and sat on Santa's lap asking for a big present for Christmas, they got it. What do you make of this news, Colin Chaulk coming back?
Well, I think it'll be interesting. They need some leadership. They need somebody. They've been doing much better on face-offs lately, but that always helps. You know, he's always great that way. Plus, it allows them to match up Leo and Curado some more. It'll be fascinating to see, I think, who's going to be the third-line center now, because you can kind of slot guys a little bit, and maybe you match Curado up against the other team's top line. You could afford to do that, which kind of puts him back to the first role he was when he played for the Komets, is he could go work on the defensive side and maybe work on that a little bit. He's got a lousy plus-minus right now, but maybe if you kind of get him to focus on that part of it, it could take care of that. And you know, remember then, when he was first here, the first 2 years, everything he scored was kind of a bonus. Maybe he could get back to that again.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people have been talking about, the problems with the Komets been this year is their lack of leadership. Obviously, you strip Guy of his captaincy, you strip PC of his alternate. You've got Leo Thomas and Kaylee Schrock kind of in those leadership roles. Now you got Colin Chaulk coming in. What does that do for the team?
Well, I think it'll help in a way. It'll give them one consistent voice. I think part of the problem is Guy's not a vocal guy. Guy is a great lead-by-example type guy. But I think everybody else was trying to step up and throw a voice in there, and there's 20 voices talking. And now Colin will be the voice, or Kaylee will help maybe be the voice. But you've got so many guys talking, nobody's listening. I think that's part of the problem.
And you've been talking with Colin the last couple of weeks. This has been in the works for a few weeks. Finally got the deal done. What's Colin's take on this?
Well, he hasn't said anything about it. I mean, he knows what's going on. He keeps in contact with all the guys and stuff. You know, I said to him yesterday, I said, are you really sure that you realize what you're getting into here? I mean, because people are going to, you know, as good as you are, people are going to expect 3 times as much from you as usual right now, because they're expecting you to come back and save this, essentially. And he goes, I'll just do what I do, which is exactly what he needs to do. And then it'll be interesting to see how things slot out, because you could do it with the centers, you could do it with the leadership in the room, but somebody's got to score the puck. And right now, nobody's scoring again. Yeah,
if you look at it, we've got some stats here from Colin Chaulk. When he was over here in Italy playing for HC Alleghe, played in 26 games. He only scored 4 goals, but look, he dished out 19 assists, and that's really what he does. And if you look at what he did here in Fort Wayne last year, had a career-high 27 goals, but those 58 assists, I mean, he's setting guys up. So maybe, is that what he steps into?
Well, he's going to have to, because he's not going to change. Somebody else is going to have to change, and they're going to have to become the person he sets up. Last year it was Matt Sarazinski and Konstantin Shafronov. Colin was also playing on the third line in Alleghe. I mean, that's part of his thing. He was being the defensive guy, the defensive center there, which was part of the reason he was unhappy and was looking to it for a change. He felt like he got lied to there. That'll change somewhat. It's just, you know what I noticed the last couple of weeks, I've been watching this closely, is the defensemen are not getting the puck anywhere towards the net very often. I mean, Frankie's been doing it. He's been getting the puck towards the net, but really nobody else is getting the puck to the net from the blue line, because I've noticed guys have been going to the net a lot more. There's just nothing for them to work with there. And other teams are definitely sagging back and saying, okay, fire away. So they got to work at more getting the puck along the ice, where there can be more tips and more deflections in front. And that's something I think we'll see if that changes pretty soon, because they're not getting the puck to the net very often right now.
Do you get a sense at all that maybe this could be something that maybe will get the fans back behind the team? Because I think it's pretty obvious that the fans are very displeased with what they've seen so far.
Sure, that could be. I mean, you know, the thing of it is, it's kind of funny, is nobody had any complaints about this roster on October 15th. You know, I mean, we all thought this was going to be a great roster, and it should have been, but it hasn't played out that way. And you know, it just shows you again and again and again. Every year, I say, every year is distinctly different. Every year has to be built. The chemistry, the camaraderie, the lines have to be rebuilt, and it really is true. No matter, you could bring back every player from a championship team, and it has to be rebuilt. All that stuff has to be rebuilt along the way.
And I think, you know, some of that is also the Komets' schedule. They do play sporadically, maybe one game or two games.
It's because the Frankies are such big Bishop Lewis football fans. They don't want to play on Friday nights in the fall. They want to go see those games. But also, they know they don't draw as well in the fall. I mean, and actually, the attendance is pretty much where it was last year at this time. You know, you pick up attendance as the year goes on. I mean, you've got a lot more promotions set up then, and you start to play better usually. And they always play better when they have a busier schedule. This week's schedule is kind of brutal with 5 games in 7 days, but there's days off in between the home games. I mean, they should do pretty well.
Yeah, it all starts tonight, Monday. The Komets host Dayton, 7:30. Then they turn around on Wednesday. The Mississippi River Kings come into town, first time ever. And then on Friday, it's Quad City. And I have a feeling that might be a sellout game with the debut of Mr. Chaulk.
I think it would have been a sellout game anyway because there's so many things. I mean, it's become the tradition. That's what you do on New Year's Eve is go to the Komets game. And they usually play really, really well on New Year's Eve, too. And it's like the other team, it's always the shortest game of the year because like the other team wants to get out of town and they want to go start party and then they don't want to be there. And then Thursday, like Thanksgiving is always like the longest game of the year too. Don't know why. Maybe it's because everybody's grouchy or something, but everybody's sleepy, but no patience by the fans or whatever, you know. But that always seems to be like the longest game of the year, and New Year's Eve is always the shortest game of the year.
Well, I know in talking with David Franke yesterday, he made it very clear to make a point that Colin Chaulk is not the second coming. You know, it's not up to him to necessarily salvage this season, but he is a piece of the puzzle, a huge piece to rebuild this season. Do you agree?
He's a piece, but I don't think he's the end-all, be-all, because that's really unfair for one person, for one thing, even if it is Colin. But, you know, how many times we go back and we look at this roster on October 15th and said, wow, that's a great roster. They should really be good. It's still pretty much the same roster. They brought in 7 or 8 guys between the end of training camp and now, and everybody does the same thing. Sometimes it's the guys in the room got to take the responsibility, and somebody's got to step up and play. You know, I mean, we're still seeing the same things. We're seeing some guys are getting shots on goal, and some guys aren't, and something has to change strategically there, and it hasn't.
Well, hopefully Chalker doesn't come in and feel the weight of the world on his shoulders to kind of.
Oh, if he does, he'll be quick to spread it out. Yeah, that won't be a problem.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see. Chaulk makes his debut on Friday.
And then tonight and Wednesday night, we've also got the last 2 nights of Komets Care Package. If you could bring something to donate to the troops, that would be great. It's sponsored by the Komets, WANE TV, and the News-Sentinel. And we will get it to the troops as soon as humanly possible through the Indiana National Guard, who are also helping out.
Yeah, so take something to the game tonight, take something to the game on Wednesday. We'll ship it out to the troops. And they can have a Merry Christmas, albeit a little belated.
Yeah, they'll just be happy to get it.
All right, well, for Blake Sebring, I'm Ross Kinsey. This is Inside the Zone.